Hi everyone. So a little bit of a last minute scheduling of this video today, but I wanted to bring you in, loop you in, because I'm making this. I'm so disorganized here. This today, yellow sweet potato cake. Well, I'm making part of it. I already have it made because we have a birthday this weekend, and I already made the cake and the frosting, and I wanted to talk about the recipe and show it to you because a lot of you know and love my chocolate sweet potato cake. Where's that? We're going to see if I can get my other cookbook. Hang tight, people, hang tight. This already makes for great TV, doesn't it, when I leave the screen? So you guys, most of you who know my recipes, you know, and I haven't done a video with you guys in a long time. I've been busy. I've got some things happening. Okay. So you guys know this recipe, chocolate sweet potato cake. It is definitely one of my most popular recipes, and it's on my site, dreenaburton.com. The link is in the description. And today I'm making the vanilla counterpart to this recipe. So when I designed this recipe, created it that would be 8 years ago now when I started creating the recipe. After this was published and this cookbook became super popular, and this recipe, I decided to do a vanilla version. And that recipe is in Dreena's Kind Kitchen. So I want to show that to you today because sometimes we want a vanilla version, right? Now it needs yellow sweet potatoes. You need that for this recipe. So we're going to get talking about that. And I will say that from today's video, we're going to draw winners from the comments, okay? So if you're watching, comment after. And I'll think about it. I'm going to figure out how to draw more than one winner for Dreena's Kind Kitchen, and we'll send that out to you. And if you have this cookbook and you'd rather have plant-powered families, I'll send that to you. So we'll do that at the end of the video. All right, so this recipe uses yellow sweet potatoes. So the chocolate sweet potato cake, I tend to use what we call in Canada yams, and they're the orange sweet potatoes. In the States, they're called orange sweet potatoes. They're just called sweet potatoes, and then the yellow ones are called Hana, and then there's also the Murasaki sweet potatoes. For this recipe, the Hana sweet potatoes, the ones that are yellow skin and yellow flesh, are the ones to use because they have the best color. And I wish I had some cooked. I use them all because they're so delicious. I use them all the time. And I use them in the cake and the frosting. I really want to go see if I have one in the garage to show you though. Okay, so hang tight. Can you maybe comment? Please comment in the, stay with me. Comment in the chat. Tell me if you have Dreena's Kind Kitchen, if you have tried this recipe, okay? So comment and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. These are the yellow sweet potatoes, the Hana. So sometimes they look like this, right? A little more sort of thin and long like this. And other times they're a little more bulbous, and sometimes they're quite large. And if you scratch the flesh or the skin, you can see the flesh underneath is this creamy yellow color. By the way, these are very good this time of year. Okay, the other work that I'm doing involves fascia stretching and connected to Chinese medicine. And this time of year, it's really, really good to eat more yellow and orange foods and more cooked foods as we are now going into late summer. So these are a great food to eat this time of year. So that's the color of the sweet potato. So you can see it will lend itself really well to a vanilla cake recipe. So this recipe uses the sweet potato in the cake and the frosting. So I'm going to show you the cake layers. I baked them yesterday and I did the frosting the day before because I like to work in phases with these things because if I'm making supper and doing other things, sometimes it's a lot to do with cake all in one day. So let me get there we go. That's what you want to see, the money shot, the food. So here are the cakes and they bake up really beautifully. Look at that. So this has no oil in this cake and it doesn't have a lot of sugar either. I think it's a half cup of unrefined sugar. And you can use coconut sugar or date sugar, except it does have a darker color. So I do like to use like just an unrefined cane sugar for this recipe because it gives a nicer color for the cake. But of course, if you want to go ahead and use like a coconut sugar, then by all means do so. And then the sweet potato is pureed I use my Vitamix, is pureed along with the plant-based milk and a little bit of either, I always line my cake pan with just a little bit of parchment. It helps to release the cake. And I either use just a touch of raw cashews in the filling, or if you need it nut-free, you can also use hemp seeds. Both of those options are in the recipe. And then I'm going to talk about the nut-free option in a moment. Okay, so we're going to start to frost this actually. So the cake itself, I'm just going to quickly pull up the recipe and talk to you about it again. So the cake itself, like I said, it has yellow sweet potato, a cup of the yellow sweet potato, and I like to bake them whole. So I put the whole sweet potatoes, I just give them a bit of a rinse onto a parchment lined baking sheet and bake until they're nice and tender. They'll be soft. They get a bit caramelized. I think the flavor is better when you bake them than when you steam them or other ways of cooking. But of course, you can, do them in the Instant Pot if you want. I just prefer the texture and sweetness and color and flavor when they are baked because the flavors get more concentrated than say if they're in the Instant Pot and there's a lot of sort of steam and water. But that's personal choice, right? So bake them and then you take the skins off and you puree it with the non-dairy milk, the vanilla, and either the cashews or hemp seeds. And then you mix that with the whole grain flour. I give options to use spelt flour or whole wheat pastry flour. And then that's it. That's how easy that is. And then the frosting. So there's the cake recipe. And then I have the frosting recipe on the next page. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at this photo here. Isn't that a gorgeous photo of the cake? My book is a little bit tattered, but it's such a gorgeous picture. I love that one. I will not be frosting my cake as nicely as that, just so you know. So here's my frosting, and I have it put in a Ziploc container, and I put no on it. I do this all the time. Keep the hands out of it. Because the frosting's so good, and it's not super, super sickly that it's tempting to just get in there with a spoon and want to dig in. So here we go. It's not a sugary, thick frosting. It's more like a very thick pudding. And I'll tell you, this version, this is the nut-based version. So in my book, I initially created this recipe with coconut butter to make it completely nut-free. And then you could either use the cashews in the cake or the hemp seeds and have a nut-free cake. But a lot of people complain about coconut. A lot of people complain about coconut. It kind of has worn me down. So I have now created the same version of this frosting using cashew butter, but you want to use a raw cashew butter because I'll tell you why. I'm dripping the frosting everywhere here now. And using cashew butter, it is a little bit looser. And I really could have adjusted the amount of milk I used. I did not. I actually used about the same amount, but it will thicken up a bit as it's on the cake. When you use a raw cashew butter, it has a better color. So if you notice when you buy raw cashews, they're like a creamy white color, whereas roasted cashews have a darker beige color. And that's the same with cashew butters. If you use a roasted cashew butter, which most cashew butters are roasted, it's going to have a darker color than a raw cashew butter. So I use raw because it gives a nicer color. I also like the flavor better. It has a milder, like more neutral flavor. And see how I'm not nice decorating at all. It's not my forte. I can create the recipes. I cannot decorate. I cannot decorate for anything. So I'm just trying to even out the frosting on the side here, and it's a bit messy. But there we go. I'm probably going to let this set a bit and then add more frosting to the top, because as it sits on the cake, it will set more. And then I can sort of add more frosting and make it look a little nicer on the top, which I will do. But for now, you know, I'm just going to let it set. But this is so good on its own. So what I plan to do, guys, is I'm going to post this recipe with the original version using the coconut butter, and that does yield a slightly more firm frosting, and also give you the recipe with the cashew butter so that you can make it with either or. Personally, I prefer the coconut version because it has a milder flavor. It sets up a little bit nicer, and the color is really, really nice as well. But I understand that some people don't want to eat coconuts, so we're going to give you both versions. So, have things coming up here. Oh, okay. I see some comments here. Hi, Coppermine. You haven't made the cake. Yeah, the chocolate version she's made. Yeah, it's, you know, it's been super popular, but I really want to like give people the opportunity to try the vanilla version because it's delicious. And I love the chocolate version, but sometimes I don't want a chocolate cake. Did I just say that? Yes. Sometimes I want vanilla, especially like in the evening. I like vanilla. Oh, cool. The team is saying the favorite recipe of mine is the chickpea chocolate cake in the Reversing Diabetes cookbook. That's so nice to hear. That's awesome. Yeah, that one's great because it's gluten-free and the glaze is really delicious on it, right? It's really easy to make. So there's the cake. Delicious. And I can't cut into it because it's not going to be cut until tomorrow. And I didn't really oh no. Oh no. Oh dear. There we go. Don't tip your cake before it's set. However, you do get to eat some of the frosting. Balance it out, go the other way. With this recipe, the frosting is just sweet potatoes, cashew butter, some unrefined sugar, and I really like to use vanilla bean powder. And my favorite is this Wilderness Poets brand vanilla bean powder. So I can add that link in the description. I didn't add it because I wasn't thinking about it. And so in the description, my newsletter link is there. If you sign up, the recipe will come to your inbox when it goes live on my site. And let's find a way to do some giveaways of Dreena's Kind Kitchen. So I'm going to draw a winner for every, let's say every 40 comments. Am I going to get 40 plus comments? We can do it, right? So if you're watching, and I'll share this after, comment, let me know if you've tried the chocolate sweet potato cake, the vanilla, and every 40 comments, I'm going to draw a winner up to, say, 200. I don't think my publisher will be super happy if I give away like a dozen copies of the cookbook from a YouTube video, but I think they can accept 5 or so. So let's do that. And you can invite friends to comment too. So give it a whirl. And then I will easily just comment back on YouTube, let you know if you won, and we'll get a cookbook out to you. Well, it's been nice being online with you. Oh, wait, no, another comment. Oh, good question, Copper Mine. Could you use a combination of oat flour and almond flour? Yeah, I think that would actually work really well. I do find oat flour in full in cakes or muffins becomes a bit sticky. You've probably had that experience too. It's like it gets a little bit gummy sticky. So I find it helps to balance it with another flour. So I think if you did half and half, or even say 1 1/4 cup or 1 1/3 cup of oat, and then 2/3 cup of almond, I think that would actually be a really nice combination. Very, very good. By the way, I'm redoing, I did a post on this, my recipes from Let Them Eat Vegan. I'm redoing a number of favorites from that book. And this made me think of that recipe, that one of the cake recipes in the book, it's a lemon cake. It's called lemony luscious cake. It's an almond cake, and it's so tender and fragrant and delicious. I think it is actually one of my very favorite cake recipes. When I was retesting it for I'm doing ebooks, because it's a long story. You can go to my post and see it on my site. It's the post that has the raspberry torte, and I just posted that recipe. My publisher of that book decided to cut costs and print it fully black and white. So even the recipe insert in the book, the photo insert, is black and white, which is really, really not good. And they dodged it completely and haven't been very communicative with me about it. Didn't mention to me it was happening at all. So I'm revising the recipes and making them fully oil-free, not oat-free. And also the ones that had coconut, I'm going to switch that up. And actually I have most of it done. I'm getting it fully photographed and releasing as a couple of ebooks, a savory and sweet. And that brought that cake to mind, about the lemony cake, because it's all almond flour. And I think there's some oat flour in there too. It's just spectacular. It's so good. The whole lemon is boiled, which sounds really weird, I know, but the full lemon is boiled and then blended with the wet ingredients, and it makes the cake super tender and just so flavorful. So there's an idea for you. But yeah, I think that's a great, great option. Okay, guys, I hope that you had fun checking out the cake. And I've got to let this thing set a little bit and not slide off on me. It came back together, but I am no cake decorator, I tell you. Recipe will be coming soon. Be sure to comment, and I'll be giving away some copies of Dreena's Kind Kitchen. So that's it. Have a great day, guys, and a good weekend, and we'll connect soon. See you.